Good morning, everyone. It is week 4. Let's get into some algorithms. So we're going to be going over functions. So we know that a function has to be identified by the keyword function. And then the name of the function. So we'll call this function just algo. And then the parameters go inside here. And then the start of the function of the area where you do something goes here. All right. And what does this mean? We have a function, it's defined, but the function is not going to run itself, right? I always use this analogy if it's like a recipe in a cookbook. Just because the recipe exists in the cookbook doesn't mean that it's going to cook itself. So how do we invoke this function? How do we get it started?
We call the function name.
Right. So we have to call the function name on another line somewhere. Oh, it's not going to write. Let's see here. Well, it's not going to act the way I'd like it to. Okay, let me escape here. I'll use Visual Studio instead. Oh, can't do that either. Okay, let me share another screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have a function. We said this was going to be where we write the function. And then we want to invoke the function. So we say the name of the function and then parentheses. This will get the function started. So if I have something in here that says console.log hello world, this won't run until it hits line 6. So let's try this. At line 6, it runs hello world. Okay, simple enough. Just wanted to remind us that this is how this works. The function is created from line 1 to 3, but it's not going to get started until it hits line 6. The key word of the function name here, algos, plus this parentheses is what is going to get the function started. Okay, what if I added a return here to the function? So the return here will say, I'll create a variable and I'll say var x equals 5. Now, if I say return x, what does this return do?
Starts it over.
They starts it over, or what do you mean by that?
Like it returns it back to the top.
Yes,
where-
it exits the function, right? You're right. And it does one other thing here. What does it do when I say return x specifically?
Holds the value of x.
Okay, it gives us the value of x. What does it give, though? What does it give it to? It gives it to the function. The return is equal to the value of the function. So if I say here console.log this function, what's the value of this here now? Or what should it be? 5, right? So if I print it in my terminal, here I have the number 5. I have a console log hello world and the number 5. And that's because I said the return should be x, and we've defined x as 5. Okay, pretty good. All right, so let me now switch to my other screen here. Got it working. And here we are. We have today's algorithms. We have some variables. We have some parameters. We have some console logs. Oh, and by the way, what does the parameter here, new value, what does that do for us?
It's a placeholder for a value that we can add in when we call the function.
Right. So it is a placeholder. This here is a placeholder for whatever we'd like to add when we call the function. Right now it's called setX. So when we invoke this function, we're giving 15 to new value. So when x is asking for new value, when we're saying it's equivalent to the new value, we're saying it's equal to 15. Let's give a 1 through 10 on how well we understand this right now. Okay, great. So then let's go ahead and break out into groups. What I want you guys to do is T-diagram this function, T-diagram this function. We went over the return and what that means. Diagram every console log, every variable that you see. And lastly, who can tell me what a palindrome means? I mean, staring right in front of us, but race car is an example of a palindrome.
Yeah, he was a search painter or something like that.
Right, it's a word that can be spelled the same way forward as it can be spelled backward. So
That
taco
was a
cat.
palindrome.
Yeah, it's a palindrome.
What'd you say?
Sorry?
You said palindrome.
No,
You
I
said
said palindrome.
I swear to God, you said palindrome, and that's why I said he's a French painter, because I thought you were saying Mondrian from yesterday.
Okay, I'm not sure what that's a reference to, but
Mondrian, the guy, the painter we did yesterday.
oh, Mondrian. Yeah, I already forgot about him. Okay,
'Cause I
no.
thought-
No, this it's just a palindrome, a word that can be spelled the same way forward as backward. So, taco cat and race car, if you spell it backwards, it's the same word, RACECAR. So, let's create a function. This is our last function. And let's, well, it's pretty much all done here, but let's T-diagram and understand how this works exactly. So if we give this function a word, it should be able to test whether it is or isn't a palindrome. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll create the breakout groups, breakout rooms, and then we'll go ahead and get started here. Ethan, I think you need to, I'm not sure, your speaker is not picking you up very well. Either that or my headphones. Trying out the new headphones today. Okay, so here we are.
All right, so for the first one, do a little T diagram here. Okay, so variable x equals 5, so x is 5 here. And basically, the function is asking you to set x a new value. That's the part that confused me. So it doesn't get called until this line, right?
Right. So before we get to that line, we have to console log x, right? So we just
Yeah.
read the function, we understand it, then we just move on to the next line, console.log. So right now it's going to be x, so we console log 5 exactly.
And then once this gets called, it's saying set x, it's holding the value of 15. So it would basically be saying x equals new value, which is 15. So it would console log 15.
Oh, you can write it right after the
Okay.
console log.
Yeah. So console log 15. So
When you're T-diagramming, don't forget to change the value of x as well.
oh, okay. Just change this. This changes to 15. Cool.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about this one? Okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and move along to our second one. Who would like to present for that one? I'm going to start calling on groups here. Maybe Justin and Tigist. Would you like to present for number 2?
Sure.
Okay.
Just need to pull it up here. I don't think I have it in front of me.
I can share, Justin, you can display. I mean, you can explain.
That works.
So number 2.
Okay, so
This one, right? This one.
no, that was the first one. That's the one we just went over. I think it's the function is pal is the second one.
This one.
No, that was the first one.
Oh.
I think they're wanting us to do function is pal r.
Pal's the third one. You guys want to do the second one?
Let's look at the platform just so we're sure here. So scroll up. Return of return.
No, the return to return.
Yeah. That means this one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, nice.
Okay.
So which
So-
T diagram are we looking at on the right?
So we are
this
looking
one.
at this one.
This one right there.
Okay. So
So the variable x equals 5. The function is add talks the amount. Then it says return x plus the amount, console log hello there, and then console. So what we did is when we ran through this, we ended up with line 42 as x equals 5. The return x plus the amount.
okay, hold on a second. So console log x at line 42. Let's see that on your T diagram.
This one.
This one right there.
So I see line 10 and line 11, console result, and then console. So we're looking at line 11 on your Excel sheet.
We're looking at that. Well, for the first console log 42, it'd be looking at 9 on our sheet. That's the answer for the first console log because it's calling out x.
Okay.
So since it's only calling out x, we determined it would be only 5 or just be 5.
Okay.
And then whenever for console log result, which is for line 44. So what we did is we took x equals 5, and then it's return x plus the amount. So what we did is we took the var result, and then we had it at we had 5, and then we had a minus 10 from it, and then it equated out to being a -5. And then what we did is when we got the result, we console logged into line 44 the result, which was in turn -5.
Okay. And then the final console log on line 45.
The final console log on line 45 is just console log, and then it just wants x again. So it's just going to be the same as above because they just want console log x.
So when we run this function, could you run this Tigist just to make sure we're getting that?
Okay.
Okay, so we get 5, -5, and 5. Those are all on the console, right? So when we're T diagramming, let's keep all the consoles on one line. So it can be a bit mixed up when you say console.
Okay. Got it. Because yeah, you're right.
Okay. Separate the console logs from the variables and the values, right?
So that means now the value of x is 5. Okay.
Yes, and also for x, if x changes its value, go ahead and change that as well. But x
okay.
didn't change its value, right? I mean, did it? Yeah, it did.
It didn't. It didn't.
It didn't. So that's fine. Just keep all the consoles on the same line. Yeah. Good job though, guys. You understood it. Okay, great. Now, Keithan, would you like to present for your group?
Yes, I would. We didn't completely finish, but we got nearly finished. So
Okay. Can you all see? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here we are these two, one, a T diagram for result 1 and 2. The function starts out with 2 variables, left and right.
Hold on 1 second. Could you pull the algorithm right next to your T diagram so we can read
Yes,
both?
I can.
Thank you, sir.
Let me figure out how to do this. Here we go. It's not what I told you to do. Here, we'll do it like this. All right. So out of here. Okay. So here we go. Here's the problem. And here is our T diagram. So we can just see this. Okay. So it says we have 2 variables, left and right. So we have left. This is the, I just made 2 T diagrams for both of the results, even though I put them both in there. So left, right, array for result 1 and array for result 2, even though we technically don't need this in here. So I might just delete that so people don't get confused. Yeah, and then we have another variable. It's not technically a variable, but we need to see what the value is. So array for left and the array for right here. And then there's our console log. And this is just the length of the array, which was actually 5. So for the first one, it says, and then we're going to run this function while left is equal to the length of the array divided by 2, which is 2.5. So the first thing that we did is we are going to find the index of the array that holds the value of left, which is 0. So we're going to look at the index 0 in this array, which is 1. And we're going to compare that to the index that holds the value of the variable right, which is going to be the length of the array minus 1 minus 0, which at the moment is going to be 3, 4, because 5 minus 1 minus 0 is 4. So then it wants us to compare those 2 indexes to see if they are equal. And if it's not, we're going to return not a palindrome. If it is, we're going to return palindrome. So 0 is not equal to 4. So we should have returned not a palindrome here.
So are we checking the indexes or the values at those indexes?
The value at those indexes.
Okay, so we're not checking 0 and 4. We're checking the value at 0.
And that's what I did the first time, and I just did it again. So that's why I have palindrome here. As you can see, I'm quite literally confused myself in real time. So I have palindrome here because, yeah, if we go to the array 0 and then 4, those are equal together. So that's what we get.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So then left becomes 1, and now right becomes 3, because you take 5 minus 1 minus the value of left, which is 1. So it's going to be 5 minus 2 now. So right is now 3. So then, like I just said, we compare the values at those indexes. So we're going to look at index 1 of the array and index 3 of the array. So 0, 1 and 0, 1, 2, 3. 1 is not equal to 2. So we put not a palindrome. Okay. Now left becomes 2, right becomes 2. And then we compare those 2 indexes. Those are both 2. So we get palindrome again. Now left is 3, but 3 is no longer less than the length of the array divided by 2. So we exit the function.
Well, hold on a second. Right when we get to a return, not a palindrome, that's when we exit the function, right?
Okay.
So the return says, okay, now give the function this value and exit completely. You're done. Yep.
Okay. And then for his benefit, Randy did say that, but I disagree. So sorry, Randy.
Okay, it's all good. We're just learning here. So all right. So we got not a palindrome, and then when we run result 2, what do we get there?
Okay, so we can just run through that one really quick. So left is going to be 0, and now right is going to be 5. And then we just compare those indexes really quick for this one. So now we're in the second result. So 0, 3, and then 5 is 3. So that is going to be palindrome.
Wait a second. So if they're equal to the same value, right, then we continue on the for loop, right?
Hold on, say that again.
So if so
Yes, continue on the for loop, yes.
right, so
Hold on, time out. Stay with me, Josh. What were you saying?
So we have var right equals r dot length minus 1 minus left. So we have the right value, and then the next line, the if statement says if r at left is not equal to r at right, then we return not a
Yes.
palindrome.
Okay, yes.
But that doesn't trigger.
It is equal because they are equal.
Yeah, it is equal, right? So
Right.
we don't
go
enter
back
this
up
if
here.
statement. Yeah, we go
Right.
back to the for loop, and then
Because
we
this is
increase.
outside of the function. I see.
Yes, so then we increase for loop. We increase left in the for loop.
So left becomes 1, and right is going to become 4.
Right.
4. Okay, and then now we're going to compare those two indexes of 1 and 4. So 0, 1, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2
Exactly.
is now equal to 2.
Yes.
So then we're going to keep going back through.
Yes. All right. Now we increase left again, right?
Left is 3, but also the array, the length of the array divided by 2 for this index is also going to be 3. So we're going to keep that one in mind. Because left is now 3.
Uh-huh.
And left has to be less than 3.
Right.
So we're going to exit the function, or we're going to keep going?
We exit the for loop. All right. So where does the for loop end? Where does the for loop begin, and then where does it end?
The for loop begins here. It begins here and ends here.
But yep. So that second curly bracket is where it ends. So if we exit the for loop, we go to the next line after that, and now we have a new return. And that return says palindrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, I would have been right, but I would have gotten to it the wrong way. You know, you get the right answer, and it says show your work, and they're like, you still miss half a point.
Well, yes, I think you understood it. It's just getting those edges polished there.
Yeah.
Right. And you asked about the return function. The console log there is just meant to be like a trick console log, because really we're never going to get to it. If we return before we get to a console log, then we're never going to get to that console log. If you want to console log something, you always have to do it before the return, because the return says exit at this point and give this to the value of the function. So the console log there was just a test to see if you would ever console log it. If you did, then you would get it wrong. Okay. Well, good job, guys. You guys did well today. We're going to only get better with practice. So we're going to continue to do this every day of the week, except for test day. And we'll be doing this throughout the boot camp. So, pat yourself on the back and just keep going. All right. And so that ends this morning's algo lecture. Stop the recording.